There we go. Well, thank you, Stephen. Good morning, everybody. Again, apologies. It's an unbelievable schlep from Bournemouth to Edgware, and out from the sticks into the metropolis of holy Edgware. So it's lovely to be here. Thank you, Stephen, for organising it. Lovely to be here again with you. Just how long have I got? 15 minutes. Okay, please feel free to leave when you want to leave. And again, apologies. So I wanted this morning to ask you a question, a very simple question. This is the question: who was greater, Moshe Rabbeinu or Aaron Cohen? They're the same. Huh? Equal. Wow, you all at the Russian. Yeah, anybody want? You're gonna say Moshe Rabbeinu and Aaron Cohen were the same? Really? Oh, okay. So you were concentrating on the name this week. Very good. Very good. That's right. We'll come to that in a moment. Let's look at the evidence. Do you ever been playing top drum? Yeah. Yeah. Remember, yeah, like the top of those cars, right? For example, like cars, and you see, top speed, 0 to 60, engine size. Yeah, and whoever had the highest number would win. Yeah, yeah. What else? Well, there used to be superheroes. Yeah, like Power and whatever it was. My favorite one was the Rebbers one, the Rebber cars. Yeah, those ones. Yeah, length of beard, number of times completed shafts, so those ones. Yeah. So I want to try to do a top crunch this morning. So all we've got is Moshe and Aaron. Who's going to win in terms of the card, in terms of power, level of nevuah, prophecy, etc. Or if it helps you to think about, when you're looking online for trying to buy a kettle, right? And you go online and you put in, and it comes up with all hundreds of kettles, right? Like some have got, quick boil, other one sings, the other one dances. Yeah, and you can compare more than one, right? You ever use that feature, you can compare more than one, right? And you'll see that one is better than another, this one is better than that one, right? So that's what let's try and do that with Moshe Rabbeinu and Aaron Cohen if we can. So let's have a think about it for a moment. Let's look on Moshe Rabbeinu's side. What was Moshe Rabbeinu's greatest quality? Greatest leader, humility, right? Aaron Cohen's peace. Oh, Shalom Barodik, Shalom over Bris and the Torah. They love peace. He was love. Who was Aaron? Aaron was loved all other people. Yeah, the Torah attests to it. When Aaron dies, it says he was mourned by Kol Beis Yisrael, all of the Jewish people. And Moshe Rabbeinu it doesn't actually say that. It says they mourned him, but not all of the Jewish people. Right? That's an interesting thing. Let's just go back slightly though. Who was the youngest out of Moshe's family? He was, right? Aaron was his older brother, then Miriam, right? We know the story the Midrash tells us. The Paro makes a decree against the boys because the astronomers will say there's going to be a male born to the Jewish people who's going to end up taking your crown and saving the Jewish people. So he makes a decree that all the males should be put into, it should be killed. Moshe's parents separated, they don't have any more children. Miriam says to her father, Paro made a decree against the males. You're making a decree against the males and the females. On her advice, they remarry and have Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu wasn't really a wanted child. He was an unwanted child, right? Yeah. Miriam, I think, probably wanted a sister. Or if not, a bicycle. She got Moshe Rabbeinu. Okay. Aaron was the eldest child. He was already doing the job that Moshe Rabbeinu ended up doing. Yeah. So that's the first thing. Moshe Rabbeinu was unwanted. Aaron was the eldest child. Moshe, yes, we know, who spoke to Hashem, panim el panim. He spoke to God face to face. Aaron didn't have a zechus, but Aaron was the Kohen Gadol. Moshe Rabbeinu lost that when he refused to take the leadership in the first instance. He had the kahuna taken away from him, and that was given to Aaron. Moshe is referred to as Eved Hashem, servant of Hashem. Aaron doesn't have that. No one else has that. Moshe Rabbeinu, as we know, the Torah attests he was the most humble. Aaron, as we know, interestingly, difference between Aaron and Moshe is that Aaron's sons inherit the kahuna from him. They take over. What do we know about Moshe's sons? Cornish. Yeah, not very much. Such nachas. Yeah, didn't get great nachas from his sons. Yeah. As we know, Aaron was over Shalom Barudiv, Shalom. Hashem appears to Moshe Rabbeinu, doesn't appear to Aaron. Very interesting. And finally, very interestingly, the very quick search. Who do you think has got the most popular name in America today? Moses or Aaron? Aaron, yeah. Aaron is ranked 178th. Moshe Rabbeinu is 1,428. Fascinating. Anyway, all right. The reason why I'm asking this question is because, as Arnie pointed out, in last week's in Parshas Vayera, the Torah says Who Aaron uMoshe Shama Hashem lahem hutziu es bnei Yisrael me'Yisrael malsivosam. This is, or it is, Moshe and Aaron and Moshe, to whom Hashem has spoken, said, take the Jewish people out of Egypt. The very next pasuk says, Heim hamadabrim el Paro melech Mitzrayim, lo hutziu es bnei Yisrael me'Mitzrayim. They are the ones who spoke to Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, to take the Jewish people out of Egypt. Who? Moshe Aaron. They are, it is Moshe and Aaron. You all noticed that, didn't you, on Shabbos? Yes? You all noticed the strange order. Firstly, Aaron and Moshe, and then Moshe and Aaron. I want to share with you two or three or four, if we've got time, of the classic commentators on this pasuk to understand why the Torah does that. Firstly, precedes Aaron to Moshe, and then Moshe to Aaron. Says Rashi, we'll start with Rashi, because Rashi always will ask the question that we should all be asking. Why is this unusual switch of orders? Says Rashi, Yesh Mekomish Makdim Aaron la Moshe, Yesh Mekomish Makdim Moshe la Aaron. There are times when Aaron is given precedence over Moshe, and there are times when Moshe is given precedence over Aaron. Why? To teach us that they were equal, that they were the same as each other. He goes on and says, "Who Moshe for Aaron," and then the second time it says Moshe and Aaron. They were equal in their mission and in their righteousness from the beginning to the end. There was no difference between them in that whatsoever. There were no divisions between them. There was no need for a three-line whip. Firstly, because there's only two of them, and secondly, but they're all on the same page, the same hymn book. They were exactly identical. That's Rashi. So Rashi explains for us the pshat. The reason why the Torah wanted to switches the order is in order to tell us that don't think one of them is greater than the other. The question obviously is, why would you think that? Why would you think that Aaron was greater than Moshe or Moshe was greater than Aaron? Or for the very reasons we just said, right? We'll see some more. Because of Ibn Ezra says on the second pasuk, it says, "Haim." They are the ones who spoke to Paro. When it came to the speaking part, when it came to Moshe speaking to Aaron, sorry, so to Paro, thank you. When it came to Moshe speaking to Paro, Moshe took precedence over Aaron, even though Hashem appoints Aaron as his spokesperson, even though we all know the whole narrative where Moshe says, I'm Kaved Hashem Kaved Peh. Nevertheless, when it comes to the speaking part, Moshe takes precedence. Sorry, it always reminds me of the joke of the boy who comes home from school very excited one day. He says, Mommy, I got a part in the play. Got a part in the school play. Mother says, fantastic. What part did you get? I get to play a Jewish husband. Mother says, go back to school tomorrow and say you want a speaking part. So Ibn Ezra says the reason why you might think that Moshe takes precedence over Aaron is Aaron has the speaking part. The Hashem dibbe imoy panim el panim, and Hashem himself spoke to Moshe face to face. And when it came to standing on Har Sinai, Moshe Rabbeinu was the only one who entered into the cloud. Even Aaron wasn't allowed to do so. But Aaron. And the Torah itself attests to the fact that Moshe is called Avdei Hashem, God's servant. Aaron loy. And even Aaron refers to his brother as Adoni, as my master, even though he was the oldest. And as we know, the difficulties between brothers that we've seen up to now, all the way from time Abel, all the way through. It says Ibn Ezra. So we see that we do not find in the whole of the Torah, starting from this verse, Moshe not being mentioned before Aaron. He says that same holds true with both the Nevi'im and the Kesuvim as well. So only at this point does the Torah want to let us know that Moshe and Aaron are equal. You might have thought otherwise, but however, from then on, only Moshe is never mentioned, or Aaron's never mentioned without Moshe in the Pasuk. That's the Ibn Ezra. A couple more I want to share with you. The Kli Yakar says something beautiful. He says, "Who Moshe of Aaron, who Moshe of Aaron, Aaron Moshe, lefisha be'ikar shlichus nira ki Moshe ikar." Because the essential aspect of the mission of Moshe and Aaron fell on Moshe. Yeah, Aaron was his spokesman, but really Aaron was there to assist Moshe Rabbeinu. You know, the Gemara, if you learn the Gemara, you see there's a thing called a Maturgaman. Yeah, in the Gemara, you'd have the Rebbe. The Rebbe would give the shir, but often the Rebbe, they didn't have obviously microphones in those days. The Rebbes didn't have necessarily, the old Rebbe didn't have such a loud voice. He would give over the shir, but he had a Maturgaman, he had a spokesman, a speaker to transmit it. But you don't give respect to the speaker, you give respect to the what do they say? It's not the monkey, but the organ grinder, right? I don't know which way around it is. Yeah, but the Rebbe gets not the spokesman, right? It's merely as a voice for it. And that's what we're seeing with Aaron. If he should ikar shlichus, but the essential aspect of the mission was through Moshe. Because Hashem only appeared to Moshe at the burning bush, not to Aaron. Moshe was the one charged with it. And therefore we would say that Aaron was secondary to Moshe on account of that. Talmud Loma says, and therefore the Torah comes and tells us who Aaron and Moshe, it precedes Aaron to Moshe in order to tell us, no, they are equal. To tell us that Aaron had an equal share in the Exodus project as much as Moshe did. Arken hiktim es Aaron, therefore the Torah proceeds Aaron to Moshe. Aval, the Inyan Hadibel Paro Nirek Aaron Iku Moshe no fellow. However, when it comes to actually speaking to Pharaoh, you might have thought that Aaron was taking the leading role because he actually was doing the speaking, and therefore Moshe was secondary to him. Al Kainama Hainam El Paro Melech Mitzrayim, who Moshe Aaron, therefore the Torah goes out of his way. So this time to mention Moshe first and then Aaron, and in order to tell us that actually they were equal to each other. So you shouldn't think this is because one was taking one particular lead in one particular role, and another one wasn't, that one of them was greater than the other. And I think it's what's known as selective leadership, right? That's within organizations and other walks of life. Sometimes you've got a number of different leaders, and sometimes you pick the leader who is specifically suited to that particular task. That doesn't mean that they are better than anybody else on that team, but they are given that's their role in that particular time. One more I want to share with you is Ha'emek Davad, and Tzip says, who Aaron Moshe, Lefia Peshat, Be'enei Kol Yisrael, who Aaron Kodim and Moshe. Why would you think that Aaron was greater than Moshe? Because in the eyes of the Jewish people, Aaron was greater than Moshe. Because Aaron was on the ground, so to speak. Aaron was with the people. He was a man of the people, with the people. He knew what they were going through. Where was Moshe Rabbeinu? He was in the palace. Yeah, the Prince of Egypt. They were making a film about him in Disney. Right? Only as the Torah says, he goes out. Only he has to actively go out and see them. Aaron was already there, and therefore, in the eyes of the Jewish people, you might have thought that Aaron was greater. But like Aaron, and they didn't actually. The Jewish people themselves, didn't actually recognize Moshe Rabbeinu, but they knew who Aaron was. And therefore, however, Moshe and Aaron, the Apostle goes on and tells us that Moshe and Aaron, but in the eyes of Pharaoh, who was greater, Aaron or Moshe? Moshe, why? Because he knew him from the palace, right? He recognized him. Because he knew his name and he knew his wisdom before. Remember, again, the Midrash tells us that why did Moshe end up with Kaved Peh Kaved Lashon? Why did he burn his mouth? Because he grew up in Pharaoh's palace and he used to sit on Pharaoh's knee, and can't do that anymore. But he used to take Pharaoh's crown and put it on his head, and everyone thought it was lovely and cute, except for the astronomers, and they said, this is dangerous. This could be the one who will be taking your crown in the future. Let's kill him. Yisro says, no, Charles an idiot, doesn't know what he's doing, got no intellect. Yeah, said in the true form of a former father-in-law, right? There's no case. Says, he knows nothing. And they give him the test, bring him the bowl of gold or coal, and we'll see which one he does. Moshe goes to the gold, and we know the angel gave you, puts his hands to the gold, and that's he ends up burning his lip. So he was recognized to Paro, and therefore in Paro's eyes he was greater. So fascinating. We see that depending on who was speaking, who was doing what, you might have thought that one was greater than the other, and the Torah goes out of its way. As we know, the Torah never necessarily uses words when it doesn't need to, and therefore, but here the Torah felt it needed to do this in order that you should know that Moshe and Aaron are the same, were equal. That's all very nice, but why is the Torah need to tell us all this? I want to show you one final source. Sofa tells us something really beautiful. So actually, compared to all those other Mefarshim, says actually there is a difference between Moshe and Aaron. Aaron was actually lower than Moshe. Moshe Rabbeinu had the greatest level of Nebuah. Nobody ever had the same level of prophecy that Moshe Rabbeinu had, not even Aaron. And even though Aaron was older than him, even though Aaron was loved by everybody, even though Aaron was the one who brought peace, even though Aaron was the Kohen Gadol, nevertheless, there is a difference between them. Moshe was Moshe Rabbeinu, Aaron was Aaron of Aaron. And in fact, I didn't mention it, but one of the reasons why Moshe Rabbeinu initially refuses the leadership role is because he was concerned that Aaron will feel put out of place. As the elder child, he might have thought, he was worried. As I said, what we saw happen previously in history would happen again. And he says, send who you normally send. Aaron was already doing it. Nevertheless, God says, no, you're the one who needs to be the leader. Chapter says, Moshe was concerned. The Torah goes out of his way to tell us that they would eat. Why? Because yes, in truth, the Metzias is that Moshe was greater than Aaron. But when Moshe was selected, Allah showed to him, don't worry about Aaron. He'll be happy for you. He's not going to, there's not going to be any sorrows, there's not going to be any broigus, right? He's going to be happy for you. And the Torah attests when Aaron goes to greet Moshe after Moshe leaves from Hashem, Aaron greets him b'simcha, with great joy. Says the Chapper, on account of that simcha that Aaron had for his brother Moshe, taking on that leadership role, knowing actually that he was greater than he himself, he was elevated to the same level as Moshe. The merit of the simcha he had for his brother, the Torah goes out of its way to say who Aaron and Moshe, who Moshe and Aaron tell us that actually in God's eyes, they were the same, even though essentially they were different and Moshe was greater. And I think that's a beautiful piece of Musa that the Torah is telling us here, which is that often we feel a sense of negativity towards somebody else because you see that perhaps they've got qualities that we don't have. Perhaps they've had achievements that we haven't had. Perhaps they've been recognized. The Torah is saying who Aaron and Moshe, who Moshe and Aaron, the two greatest leaders of the Jewish people, considered to be the same, even though they weren't the same. Because they recognize what they can recognize in each other is that each person has a role to play. Each person has a mission to fulfill and a purpose that is unique to them that nobody else can do. And that is also great simcha. Know that you can work together with other people and achieve tremendous things, including, you see it from the Exodus from Egypt. That is why I think what the Torah is trying to tell us, something really subtly, but something really nuanced, but something really beautiful, which is to understand that God has given each and every one of us our unique talents and gifts. Completely different. If there was somebody else who could do our job in this world, we wouldn't need to be here. And that's why every morning we say thanks to Hashem. God has great faith in us. God knows what we can achieve. God knows that we can achieve only what's necessary for us to achieve that nobody else is able to do. And that's why He woke us up this morning. And with that thought, I wish you a good day.
Thank you. That definitely was worth waiting for your trip down to A1. Thank you so much. Does anyone want to have a quick question, or should we conclude? Now, can you pass me this? So on that note, we will conclude the session. I'll do the bracha achrona. I'll turn off the record, so I'll see you on Zoom next week. And